The medbay of Station Nemor was a cathedral of light, white, humming, immaculate. Sergeant Marcus Hale stood in its center, a scarred shadow in combat boots and a torn field jacket, the last soldier from a war no one on this side of the galaxy remembered. His breath fogged faintly in the sterile air. Around him, Saren medics moved with the still precision of creatures born to peace. They didn't speak unless their vocal cords had reason. He felt like a broken instrument among perfect machinery. Dr. Vaelther approached, tall and spectral, his skin faintly translucent, as though lit from within by slow tides of blue. "Human Hale," he said, voice cool but not unkind. "Step onto the platform. The scan will identify pathogens, parasites, and any residual weapon spores." "Yeah," Marcus muttered, stepping forward. "Wouldn't want to give your people a taste of old Earth bacteria. Might ruin your spotless walls." Vaelther tilted his head, a movement too smooth to be entirely biological. "Your humor seems to surface under stress." "Better than screaming," Marcus replied, forcing a grin. The scanner hummed to life beneath his feet, arcs of pale energy tracing over his body. He had been through hundreds of scans in his life, border checks, combat medbays, quarantine tunnels. But this one felt different. The light lingered on his skin, drawn toward the lines of his tattoos, dark sigils etched into muscle and memory. The device's tone shifted, a low vibration that made his bones ache. Vaelther frowned, his forefingers fluttering over the display. "Unusual response. The dermal pigments are generating interference." "They're just tattoos," Marcus said. "Art. History." The alien adjusted the scanner's frequency. Symbols flared across the holographic display, patterns that made no sense to Marcus, but caused a visible ripple of unease among the other medics. One of them whispered something in their own language, syllables like soft glass breaking. The scanner emitted a sharp, almost organic click. Then a mechanical voice filled the air. "Ancient kill marks detected." The room froze. Even the ambient hum of the biolights seemed to fade. Vaelther straightened, his inner glow dimming. "Repeat," he ordered the device. The voice obeyed. "Ancient kill marks detected. Energy signature predates Saren archive records." Captain Thren, an austere figure with metallic eyes and ceremonial armor, entered the medbay at the sound. "Doctor," he said sharply, "report." Vaelther hesitated. The human's dermal markings emit signatures associated with unknown conflict. They are reactive. Marcus shifted, crossing his arms. "Reactive? They're ink, Doc. You're reading ghosts." Thren's gaze was hard. "You humans have brought contagion before. Perhaps this one carries something older, something your kind should have left buried." "I don't carry anything except memories," Marcus said. "And those are bad enough." Vaelther circled him slowly, scanning the tattoos again. Each line flared faintly, one across his shoulder, a jagged blade pattern, another over his ribs, a coiled serpent. On his forearm, a row of tally marks burned like embered metal. "Your pigments resonate with biofield energy," Vaelther murmured. "Yet your species does not possess psionic capacity. It's impossible." "Guess we're full of surprises," Marcus said. Thren's voice cut through the tension. "Doctor, determine if he is a threat. If those marks are weapons, I want them neutralized." "They're not weapons," Marcus snapped. "They're stories. My stories." The medic looked up, eyes reflecting cold light. "Then why do they respond to my scan as though alive?" Marcus's jaw tightened. He didn't have an answer. He remembered the trenches, the smell of rain and ozone, the sound of a friend's last breath as the tattooist's needle burned through the mud. Each mark was earned, each a promise to remember. Nothing more. Nothing mystical. The scanner pulsed again, and suddenly the lights flickered. The holographic display erupted with chaotic patterns, flashes of red and gold, moving forms that looked disturbingly like battle scenes. Shapes of armored humans wielding ancient weapons, standing amidst fire. The energy subsided as quickly as it came, leaving the room drenched in silence. Vaelther's voice trembled. That was not possible. Thren raised a hand toward his calm security. "Wait," Marcus said, voice low. He looked down at his arms. The tattoos still glowed faintly, fading now like cooling metal. That wasn't me. Vaelthur deactivated the scanner, studying him as though seeing a creature out of myth. Your skin carries echoes of warfare beyond our archives, he said quietly. These marks, whatever they are, predate our recorded civilizations. Marcus laughed dryly. You're saying my tattoos are older than your history? That's a hell of a story. It is not a story, Vaelthur said. It is data. He paused, almost reluctant. And data does not lie. Thren stepped closer, his expression unreadable. Perhaps humanity's wars left more than ruins behind. Perhaps your kind carved memory into flesh. Marcus met his gaze. Maybe. But if there's a message here, I sure as hell don't know how to read it. The alien captain regarded him a moment longer before turning away. Quarantine him, he ordered, until we understand what he carries. 2 Saren guards approached, their movements cautious. Marcus didn't resist. He was too busy staring at his arm, where one faint line still shimmered like a heartbeat. As they led him down the corridor, the sterile light washing over the dark ink, Marcus whispered under his breath, "What the hell did you see in me?" Back in the med bay, Vaelthur watched the last of the scan data scroll across the hollow display. Amid the alien glyphs was one clear phrase translated by the AI's imperfect linguistic core. Kill marks. Humanity authorized. Vaelthur felt the pulse of something he'd never known before, fear mixed with awe. He looked toward the sealed door through which the human had vanished. Your kind, he murmured, has scars that even time remembers. The lights stabilized, the medbay returning to its sterile calm, but the silence was no longer pure. It hummed faintly with the echo of an ancient heartbeat, one that refused to die.
The alien medic stood frozen before the scan display, his luminous eyes wide, the thin ridges along his temples pulsing in disbelief. The holographic projection of Marcus Hale's tattoos rotated slowly above the table, their shifting lines no longer appearing as mere ink. The symbols pulsed, alive with crimson light, forming sequences that the device interpreted as something between language and command code. Marcus sat upright on the scanning table, tension rippling across his shoulders. "What's wrong?" he asked, his voice gravely, every word heavy with restrained impatience. The medic didn't answer immediately. Instead, he turned toward the alien historian who had just entered, an Elden with translucent skin and mechanical lenses embedded into his forehead. The historian's tone was reverent as he whispered, "These are war marks. Not of our age, ancient from before your CCs walked upright." Marcus gave a hollow laugh. "You're telling me my tattoos are older than humanity?" The Elden ignored the sarcasm, circling him with quiet fascination. "You bear the imprint of the kill sequence, a record from the forgotten wars. It was encoded into warriors of flesh and mind, meant to awaken under specific conditions. No known CCs survived those wars." The medic's hands trembled as he adjusted the display, revealing deeper layers of code beneath Marcus's skin. The tattoos extended like roots through muscle and bone, converging near his heart. "This shouldn't be possible," he murmured. "The density here predates recorded human technology by at least 10 millennia." Marcus clenched his jaw, a cold unease settling in his chest. "So what? You saying I'm some kind of relic?" The historian's lenses flickered. "You are something worse. A remnant." Silence hung between them, heavy and electric. The hum of the medical bay felt louder than before, the light golden. Marcus tried to recall the day he'd gotten those tattoos years ago, in the ruins of Damascus, done by a wandering artist who claimed his inks were made from ancient ash. He remembered the pain, the fever that followed, the nightmares of crimson skies and burning towers. He had never questioned it. Soldiers didn't question their scars. The medic began another scan, this time slower or more cautious. The device's lights flickered and then stabilized into a steady rhythm matching Marcus's heartbeat. With each pulse, the hologram brightened until the room was filled with the ghostly image of a battlefield, massive figures locked in combat, explosions of light that scorched the ground into glass. The alien historian stumbled back, whispering a prayer to whatever gods his people believed in. Marcus's voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed unease. "That's inside me." "Not just inside," the medic said, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's connected to you. The symbols respond to your neural patterns. They're reading you as both host and command unit. You're carrying a dormant weapon." Marcus looked at his hands, flexing his fingers as if expecting to feel something. "No. You mean this thing's alive?" The medic hesitated. "Not alive, but aware. It was designed to identify threats, to awaken when conflict rises. If our instruments are correct, your body has been suppressing it for years." The historian straightened, voice trembling. "If it wakes, you will not be Marcus Hale anymore. You will be what your kind once were, the slayers of gods." Marcus laughed again, but there was no humor this time. "I'm just a soldier. Fought in a few dirty wars, lost a few good men. That's all I am." The medic turned off the scanner. "And yet your blood says otherwise." Marcus stood towering over the delicate alien forms. His shadow stretched across the steel floor, the glowing symbols of his tattoos reflecting faintly in the polished metal. "You think I'm some ancient weapon? Fine. But what does that make you? The ones who woke it up?" The medic flinched at their edge in his tone. "We were searching for infection. We didn't know." The air seemed to hum again, this time deeper, like something alive beneath the station's hull. Marcus felt it resonate through his chest, the same rhythm as the hologram's pulse. The lights dimmed slightly. He could feel something stir within him, a faint heat spreading from the markings across his arms. The historian's eyes widened. "He's resonating. The activation sequence is sensing danger." Marcus stepped back, shaking his head. "Turn it off." "We can't," the medic said, voice strained. "It's reacting to your adrenaline. You need to calm down." "Calm down?" Marcus barked, his pulse spiking. "You tell a man he's carrying a damn ancient bomb and expect him to relax." The walls flickered again, a light flashing red as the scan table cracked beneath his grip. The medic scrambled for controls, the historian muttering ancient phrases under his breath. The air was thick with the scent of ozone, the hum growing louder. Then, as suddenly as it began, the light vanished. The hum died. Marcus stood motionless, breathing hard, smoke curling faintly from the markings along his arms. The tattoos dimmed to a dull red, then to black once more. The medic collapsed against the wall, trembling. For a long moment, no one spoke. Finally, Marcus broke the silence. "You said this thing responds to conflict." The historian nodded slowly. Marcus said at the scorched floor, his reflection fractured in the metal. "Then you'd better pray the galaxy stays peaceful." He turned toward the exit, the automatic door sliding open with a high.
The walls of the quarantine chamber pulsed faintly, reflecting the same dull red that moved beneath Marcus Hale's skin. The tattoos that once marked his history now flickered with a life of their own, whispering something he couldn't hear but could feel deep in his bones. He sat on the metal bench, hands trembling as the alien medbay beyond the glass swarmed with motion. Dr. Vailthur stood closest, issuing calm orders while the other Saren maintained a perimeter. Every scan since dawn had failed. The human wasn't sick, but he wasn't unchanged either. "Sergeant Hale," Vailthur said through the intercom, "do you feel any discomfort?" "Only when I'm awake," Marcus muttered, rubbing at his arm. The ink shimmered under his touch, brightening in defiance. You tell me what you've done to me, document. Because this. He raised his forearm, the tally marks burning crimson. This isn't normal. We didn't do anything, Valethur answered, voice taut. The scan activated dormant nanostructures embedded in your skin. They were inert until we triggered them. Marcus gave a short, humorless laugh. Figures. The one time I try to get clean, somebody flips the wrong switch. Captain Thren entered the chamber observation deck, his presence cold and efficient. How contained is it? The reaction appears limited to his dermal layers, Valethur said. But the energy readings fluctuate every time he becomes agitated. Then keep him calm, Thren replied. If this is a weapon, it could compromise the station. Marcus glared through the glass. I'm not your weapon. Valethur turned to him, eyes narrowing. Perhaps not by choice. He hesitated, lowering his voice. We've identified the energy pattern. It's consistent with psionic resonance, specifically battle-encoded cognition. It's as if your skin remembers war. My skin, Marcus said, standing now, his reflection fractured in the glass. You mean me? The tattoos rippled in agreement, glowing brighter with each heartbeat. The lights above flickered as though the room itself were breathing. Valethur's assistants retreated from their consoles, exchanging anxious glances. Thren reached for the emergency lock override. Don't, Valethur snapped. He's stabilizing. But Marcus wasn't sure he was. The hum in his veins grew louder, a soundless roar that filled his head with distant screams, with visions of men in armor, faces half-shadowed by flame. The smell of oil and ozone returned as if the wars of Earth had never ended. They're talking, he whispered. The marks, they're talking. Describe what you perceive, Valethur urged, keeping his voice measured. Soldiers, Marcus said. Old ones. Before me. Maybe before anyone. They're fighting something taller, darker. They keep saying, hold the line. He pressed his fists against his temples. God, I can hear them. The walls shuddered as if reacting to the resonance. Instruments whined, monitors blurred with static. The system began to translate the background frequencies, producing fragments of ancient human dialect, war chants, tactical codes, the rhythmic cadence of orders. The tattoos across Marcus's chest ignited fully, patterns weaving into shapes neither human nor alien technology could describe. Valethur, Thren said, his voice tight with alarm. Shut it down before the system destabilizes. I can't, Valethur replied. He's not being controlled. The marks are responding to him. They recognize him. The hum deepened. Marcus dropped to one knee, gritting his teeth. They're showing me what we were. What we used to be. Then, as suddenly as it began, the energy snapped into coherence. Every tattoo on his body flared, connecting in a lattice of light, forming a translucent armor across his torso, metallic yet organic, shifting as if alive. The Saren recoiled. Marcus looked down at himself, disbelief warring with terror. What the hell is this? A projection of memory, Valethur said, awe overtaking his fear. The marks are reconstructing an ancient defense interface. You are wearing the history of your species. Thren stepped forward, hand on his sidearm. Or a weapon that will destroy us all. The deck alarms cut through his words. Red strobes washed the medbay. A metallic voice echoed over the intercom. Asterisk, unidentified vessels detected. Trajectory intercepting Station Nemor. Pirate class signatures confirmed. Asterisk. Valethur turned toward Thren. Our defense systems are still offline from the energy surge. We can't repel an attack. Thren stared at Marcus, then at the glowing armor. Perhaps we have a weapon after all. Marcus shook his head. You're out of your mind. Your marks respond to conflict, Thren said. You are the key to survival. If these pirates breach us, we're finished. I'm not fighting your war, Marcus growled. Valethur stepped closer to the glass, eyes full of something almost human, desperation. Sergeant Hale, those marks were made for one reason. To preserve humanity in the face of extinction. Whatever force imprinted them chose you as its bearer. Maybe it's not coincidence you're here now. Marcus looked down at his hands. The armor pulsed, alive with memory, whispering in voices not his own. He felt the weight of 1,000 forgotten warriors pressing against his mind. He remembered why he'd left Earth, to escape fighting, to stop carrying the ghosts. And yet here they were, waiting for him to answer. Outside, the station shuddered as the first pirate missiles hit the outer hull. The floor vibrated beneath his boots. Alarms howled. Thren barked orders over the comm, but his voice was lost in the chaos. Vaelthur met Marcus's eyes through the glass and said, softly, "You once told me your tattoos were just stories. Then let them tell this one." Marcus exhaled slowly. The fear that had haunted him for years hardened into resolve. He nodded once. "Open the door, Doctor." Vaelthur hesitated. "If I do, I may unleash something none of us understand." "Then you'd better hope it's on your side." The chamber seal released with a hiss. Marcus stepped into the corridor, his body encased in the living armor of his ancestors. As the station trembled under another impact, the tattoos along his spine flared bright enough to light the walls. He moved with the instinct of a soldier long dead, but newly awakened. Human combatant detected, the station AI intoned. Classification Omega. Marcus didn't know what that meant, but it felt right. He turned to Vaelthur. "You wanted to see what humans carry in their skin?" His voice was calm now, almost reverent. "Watch closely." The next explosion rocked the hallway. Marcus broke into a run toward the docking bay, the ancient voices rising in his ears, their chant merging with the thrum of the living armor. Vaelthur watched him go, realization dawning that whatever war humanity had buried in its flesh was not finished yet. And for the first time in the medic's long, peaceful life, he prayed the past would remember mercy.
The docking bay was chaos. Alarms screamed, oxygen hissed through ruptured seals, and the smell of burning aloe filled the air. Marcus Hale moved through it all like a force and bound, each step echoing with the pulse of the living armor that clung to his body. The tattoos had become lines of light, circuitry that remembered war better than he ever could. Outside the stations, pirate ships swarmed like insects, their plasma fire carving streaks across the world. Captain barked commands through the comms, his voice tight but steady. Containment fields on levels 3 through 5. Get those civilians below the reactor shield. Stood beside him, eyes fixed on the human star moving down the corridor. "He's not just fighting," the medic whispered. "He's channeling history." Marcus reached the main airlock as the first pirate boarding pods slammed into the hull. The impact sent him staggering, but the armor compensated, anchoring his stance with bursts of energy that scorched the floor. From the seams of the armor unfolded fragments of ancient weapons, blades of light and shadow shaped by instinct, not memory. 3 pirates forced the hatch, their suits glinting with scavenged tech. They raised plasma rifles, but Marcus was faster. The first fell before his weapon even fully formed, a shimmering sear that dissolved upon impact, leaving only a burning wound where the pirate had stood. The other 2 hesitated, fear overtaking greed. Marcus advanced without hesitation, movements fluid, wordless, inevitable. Within moments, the bay fell silent again, broken only by the sound of his ragged breathing. Voice came through the calm. "Sergeant Hale, your vitals are unstable. The energy is consuming you." Marcus looked down at his hands. The armor was brighter now, burning along his veins, eating through the line between flesh and light. "It's not consuming," he said softly. "It's remembering." Outside, another wave of pirate ships closed in. The station's automated defenses were offline, its crew overwhelmed. Appeared at Marcus's side, a weapon in hand. "You bought us time, human, but we can't hold them. The next barrage will breach the reactor core." Marcus turned toward him, the light from his armor reflecting in the captain's metallic eyes. Then you need to get everyone off this station. That's impossible. We'd never make it before. Marcus cut him off. You don't need to. I've got one last story to tell. Said at him, realization dawning. You intend to detonate the core manually? Marcus smirked faintly. You think I came all this way to die in quarantine? Before could respond, the hull shuddered again, this time hardened. A pirate command ship had docked directly with the station, tearing through its shields. The bulkhead cracked, exposing the distant silhouette of their leader sipping through the smoke, clad in stolen military armor and carrying a weapon that glowed with alien energy. Who dares bleed my men? The pirate commandant demanded, his voice amplified by his suit. Marcus raised his head, his eyes glowing faintly red behind the flicker of his armor. Name's Marcus Hale. You picked the wrong ghost to wake. The commandant left, stepping forward. You fight with relics and scars. I fight with the future. Marcus's grin was sharp and weary. Funny? My scars built your future. They clashed in a blur of sound and motion, of blades meeting energy, or sparks scattering across the deck. The commandant was strong, faster than any human, but Marcus fought like someone who had died before and decided it hadn't been enough. The tattoos fed him, each pulse of light a memory of triumph, each mark a lesson written in pain. When the alien's blade pierced his side, Marcus didn't fall. He drove his own weapon through the commandant's chest, the armor flaring so bright it blinded every witness. When the light faded, the pirate leader's body disintegrated into ash. Marcus staggered, clutching his wound. The armor was fracturing, light spilling from the cracks like blood. He said into the calm, his voice steady despite the pain. Listen carefully. You need to vent the upper decks, everything between levels 1 and 4. The alien medic's voice trembled. That would expose the docking bay to vacuum. You'll die. Yeah, Marcus said, sinking to one knee. That's kind of the point. Voice broke in. Human, we can still. No, you can't, Marcus said. You've got civilians. Scientists. Healers. People worth saving. That's the future. This, he looked at his burning hands, this is the pest trying to finish one last job. There was silence on the channel. Then said quietly, you will not be forgotten. Marcus chuckled weakly. Funny thing, Doc. That's what the marks were for. He staggered toward the main control console, every step leaving soft footprints behind. Outside, the pirate fleet regrouped, preparing another strike. Marcus placed his hand on the release lever. The tattoos along his arms flared one last time, each symbol blazing brighter than the rest, until they merged into a single sigil across his chest. The same words that had haunted the scan now appeared across the armor's surface, humanity authorized. Tell them, Marcus said, was low, that we never forgot how to fight. He pulled the lever. The outer base opened to the void. Vacuum tore through the corridor, dragging fire, debris and pirates into the abyss. The energy backlash ignited the unstable reactor, flooding the ST.